Hey, this is NCH doing another episode on inside the source file, which I haven't do for like the last 3 years, and I guess today I felt like doing one. For this particular animation called 80 Velkana in a nutshell, I'm going to show you how much I'm a hack fraud in cheating my way into doing this animation, because it only took me about a week of production. Of course, I spent the entire day working on it, but yeah, it's about a week to finish everything up. Which, why it's fast, so called fast, because I applied a lot of cheating techniques in the animation itself. But without further ado, let me show you the animation that is beyond the border frames, but you're not supposed to see. So let's start off with that. Let's go. I'm not going to say much, but yep, I'll just let you watch this sequence to show you how terrible it is and how much I've cheated in doing the process. And you can see this amazing, glorious walk cycle. Anything beyond the camera frame sucks. So this part, there's no sound except for here.
You are not worthy to wear that armor.
Because I will usually send the whole clip to Stereo to help me sound the stuff. Alright, so let me cover some pointers on how I cheated in the animation. So first off, this base animation was from the previous one called Velkana in a nutshell. I basically repurposed the existing assets, like change the images. You can see all these are replaced assets from the previous episode. The hunters themselves are also replaced, so like I drew all these assets out, the design of the Fatalis armor, but I actually got my assistant animator Nyang Tofu to help me replace all the individual assets inside the hunter's head to replicate the expressions and emotions. I actually didn't do this part, so it's done by my assistant animator to shave some time off, because if I'm not wrong, this was actually started back in November, but I didn't have the time to work on it first, so I got my assistant animator to prep up, do all the prep work, design, replace all the heads with the Fatalis armor. So everything is the front view. Like I had to keep all poses, all fight scenes to the front view, so I have to make the best out of it. So you can see that like running, I did very poor run cycles. Like they're not even run cycles at all, they're just up and down only. So like you can see they're just going up and down. I didn't even bother doing any kind of run cycle. So this accelerate everything. Same thing here, I reuse the assets again. I will first cover the hunters first, so yeah, then I will cover Velkana herself. So you can see that everything is just hastily animated. So for this guy, I did some simple run cycle, 4 keyframes, up down, for because this is like a main focus of the shot, so I have to show a proper run cycle instead of the previous shot where there is tiny detail. So I can get away with doing a shit run cycle, but for a shot like this I have to show some proper run cycle to an extent, I guess. Okay, so things like this are all just single frame stuff. So this is actually a loop, it's just many different keyframes of poses of him moving around, and I just motion twin it. Same goes for the tail of Velkana, which is just 4 keyframes of rapid attacks. The text behind is on the loop too, so it's just a scrolling text on the loop. By the way, the Japanese word is muda, so it's the literal translation of muda. So yeah, so moving on, so we can see for this detail I did some animation like this. It's all motion twinning, so we can see the animation inside. I'm panning the background, and this is the sequence. I'm actually just rotating the character. I didn't even do any animation, it's just rotation. And then I do a secondary animation of it, just doing a landing pose, and then I just animate it, scaling and resizing it. And this is actually a previous shot from the previous episode, so I just reuse it without doing anything. So this is the infamous walk cycle. So yep, basically I just made him bounce up and down, and that's considered my walk cycle for the front view. Hide the borders, anything outside the frame not seen, it's fair game. So this is, you know, how you, if you want to cheat in animation, this is how you do it. Just don't, you know, show the parts. And for this scene, which I actually love how it turns out, this guy is actually just tinted black. So if I actually unblack it, you can see that it's actually still the front view, but because I made it black, I tint it black. This is, you know, how you if you don't want to draw the back view of a character, and if the shot allows you to silhouette the shot, you know, you can get away with it by just turning it black. So, and yeah, this is how I just didn't bother to come up with the back view of the Fatalis armor. So like this shot is being same is done again in a little scene where the hunter jumps up to do a slashing attack. So this shot and this shot, if I turn it, and you see if I untint it, it's just the front view. So if I untint it, it's the front view actually. So I'm just showing the front view again of the same shot. So yeah, but you know, I mean, if you make it black and you just save time animating and creating new assets of the back view. And some comments I got, the people actually say that it reminds them of the Gundam Devsky. So there's actually a reference that I didn't expect them to point out. It was unintended reference, but yep. So this is, you know, how you so-called cheat in animation. So most of the hunters are mainly done because more or less that is what they are, you know. I only did the front view and that's it. And this applies to Velkana too. For Velkana, there is only 3 main key poses that I did for her. I drew only 3 key poses. So let me show you. Yeah, so these 3 poses is used entirely in the animation for Velkana, except for this pose for one of the key shots. But yep, the whole animation I animated Velkana with using only these 3 main key poses. I have not done anything else other than some perspective movement, skewing and stretching of the pose. This is what I've been working with. So yep, I will show you all the key poses. The first one, so for this scene, this is the front view. So you can see this is the front view. The first, actually technically this is the first asset I designed of her, the opening shot. Then we move on. This is the second one. It's a special perspective that I designed, which is based from the previous episode asset, but I remodified to add the hand asset and all that. And we move on. And this is the second one. This is the second asset. Notice that you can see I force replace the front head. basically I mix and match different assets to different pose. So for this pose is this 3/4 view pose, and I use the front view head pose. Okay, next, and here is the default 3/4 view pose and animating. So here is just changing the pose of the 3/4 view, so you can see everything. It's reusing the same pose asset that I drew, so I can afford to like make her quite super detailed, and I'm just reusing the same assets all the way. It sort of works to some degree, but anything more than that is you will have to design more poses, but this is how I managed to stretch out what I can do with. And for this one is actually a very famous pose that everyone should know, and this is my reference. So yeah, it's the same exact pose, and I have used as much as possible whenever I can, because I honestly I love how it turns out. So you can see it's like a mix between faces. I have to redraw, of course I have to redraw some of the expressions. That is something you cannot avoid. We are back to the 3/4 view, same thing. As you can see, it's like 3/4 view, and I'm just panning across the screen when it casts the ice attacks. And again, this pose, because you're trying to show from a bottom to top perspective, of course it's not that accurate, but it does the job. And a quick transition, I love this transition. This is actually one of my favorite effects. So like, let me see the frames. Yeah, so these are the frames, like here, white out, and then we immediately transit to the next frame on a 3/4 key pose to show this four finger ice attack. And you can see that every time I just drop in the shot that I want, and everything else you can see is just not arranged at all. So, and again, I'm pushing the perspective again. It's like I'm just skewing and stretching up the leg poses, and trying not to draw any more new body shapes, and just working with what I have. So we are back to the 3/4 view. So everything, so you can see I would zoom in fast and then transit to the front view. So you can see there's a switch in poses from 3/4 to front view. And then we are back to this asset. So you can see that this one is a special case. I think this is a case. So this is actually still the front view. I'm actually still using the front view of it, but I have skewed and modified some of the perspective to look like it's from a top to down shot. So like I did some modification, but in the end it's all skewing and stretching the assets. All these feet assets are still the front view, but I just try to skew and stretch it as much as possible to get this very top to bottom view perspective, which I guess if it's not a lingering shot, it should look well, I guess. But yeah, again, the JoJo pose, but in a damage pose. I also love this shot. And firing back the beam, and you can see a bit of a slightly complicated animation pose. Is like flipping from left to right, and then in order to transit from this keyframe to another keyframe, I would hide the whole screen with the wings. If I hidden the external shots, you can see that I supposedly smoothly transit from the 3/4 view to the front view instantly. So that is how one way you do a smooth transition. You can see I just animate in the wings, I just twin in the wings and twin them out and do some jumping animation. And for this part, I have to draw a unique body shape just to fit the perspective, but other than that, you can see how flat the character is because I'm doing the skewing of the front view of the character. And yep, this is how I cheat my way by drawing only 3 key poses of Velkana. and do an animation within 1 week. This is more or less how am I a hack fraud in animation, and if you think these cheating techniques can apply to your animation, why not try it out? But I guess, you know, I use with whatever, with caution, or my advice is if it works, it works, I guess. So yeah, well, I'm done with my spiel, and I hope whoever has sat through all the way here, you know, got an idea on how I do my animations. This is one of my most trashy animations that I actually sort of don't really put much effort in. They are meant to be just, you know, junk stuff like fast food, just to get them up as fast as possible, because I don't really like to focus much on my Monster Hunter series. But yeah, uh, thanks for watching, and maybe I will do one more in the next 2 or 3 years later down the road. We'll see later.